Who was actually the worst president ever? Assuming president just means leader of a country, not counting Hitler, easily Pol Pot. Just supremely evil, and his actions go under the radar because it happened in country the West rarely thinks about. Pol Pot. Steve, senior high-class president, class of 1992. You ran on a platform of getting porno mags in the school library. It's been 30 years, Steve, there are still no porno mags in the school library. The president of Hoa. Robert Mugabe, probably. A pretty good rundown, here. Ferdinand Marcos, basically starved our nation. And the Dan people still elected his son to be the current president. Person facepalming, light skin tone probs every single president in the PH. Ferdinand Marcos. Sorts by controversial EDA. I'm gonna stick to American presidents because that's where my strongest understanding of history is. But I'd go with James Buchanan. He was the guy before Lincoln while tensions between states were increasing rapidly, and instead of actually doing anything he just kinda let everything boil over. Idi Amin. Gianni Infantino, president of FIFA. Idi Amin was a real nasty prick. He never really got his comeuppance either. John Tyler is rarely mentioned, but he gets my vote. I'm reading his biography right now. He is the only US president who renounced his American citizenship after leaving office in order to join a nation making war on the United States. He literally committed treason after leaving office. I think a strong argument can be made for James Buchanan. He literally let the United States fall apart on his watch and took no action. By some accounts he even shipped arms supplies south so the rebels could seize them. Andrew Johnson. Torpedoed Reconstruction and firmly entrenched civil rights issue in a pre-bellum era. We are still fighting our way out of that. My college drama club president, dude was in charge of a pizza party and he messed it up bad. We all ended up only getting one slice each. Let me tell you about Jacob Zuma. The president of my cricket club embezzled funds for the end-of-year trip for their gambling habit. The guy before O.J. Abraham Lincoln. James Buchanan. You can basically blame him for the Civil War. Probably Andrew Johnson. Dude fucked up Reconstruction so bad we still feel the effects today. Nixon committed treason in order to prolong the Vietnam War before he even got elected. Watergate is more well known but less of a crime, really. Nixon was no joke. Hunter S. Thompson seemed to sum him up quite well. Ever. Andrew Johnson. Andrew Jackson engineered several genocides to make room for more slavery. Puts on hazmat suit to enter the comments. Dude after Lincoln, motherfucker was petty against the rich Southerners but still kept their ideals. Kept vetoing anything that positive for the newly freed black people. Allowed Jim Crow laws, didn't give the 50 acres promised, allowed KKK to be a thing. Many of the racism being allowed and terrible law segregation was allowed because of that motherfucker. Most historians cite James Buchanan as the worst president. They're probably right. I had only one president in my life. So, I think it is good way to say that he is the worst. So, I chose Putin. Vladimir Putin, even though he's a dictator he calls himself president. Robert Mugabe it is. Woodrow Wilson racist gets thrown around a lot, but Woodrow Wilson was actually a blatant vicious racist. Ferdinand Marcos Sr. runner-up Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Second runner-up Joseph Estrada or Gloria Arroyo, depends on who you ask. Emerging terrible president Bongbong Marcos Jr. Geez, we have such an abundance of crappy presidents in the Philippines. Andrew Johnson, hands down. Torpedoed Reconstruction and set the stage for decades of racial terrorism, segregation, and oppression because of petty personal vanity and his inability to see beyond his own interests. Rest in peace, Andrew. Warren Harding. He probably would have been the first U.S. president to do jail time, but he died in office. Edit grammar typos. Anyone that preferred profit and money over the well-being of our people. Mind you, many of them will pretend that they care about the people and it's not about money, but I assure you it's mostly about money. Saddam.